Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Beanie Wells looked like the perfect fit for the Arizona Cardinals as they snagged him up at the end of the first round in the 2009 draft. Unfortunately for Wells, he got off to a slow start as he got an injury in the preseason, and then he had some fumbling issues early on as Tim Hightower was the starter and remained actually the starter throughout the season. Hightower may have been starting, but as we got deeper into the second half of the season, it was clear to see that Beanie Wells was the man. As the last 3 games of the regular season for fantasy, I should say, week 14, 15, and 16, he had a touchdown in every single game and got at least 15 carries in each game. As we saw him go 15 carries, 79 yards, touchdown against the Niners. He went for 110 yards and a touchdown against the Lions, and he also put up 17 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown against the Rams. He also had some highlight games in the second half as well, even before that, as he put up 2 touchdowns and 85 yards rushing against the Seahawks on only 16 carries, and backed that up again against the St. Louis Rams with a 74-yard game rushing with a touchdown. For the season, he ended up with 7 touchdowns, even though he didn't have a touchdown until week 7 of the season. He still had 7 touchdowns, and it was clear to see that he was becoming the main touchdown guy, even though Hightower did still get some goal line opportunities. Coming into this offseason, Kurt Warner obviously retired, and now the keys are in Matt Leinart's hands as he's going to be pretty much the starting quarterback for the team this upcoming season. With this change, it is expected that the Cardinals will probably run the ball a bit more, as that would take some pressure off of Leinart, and he's, at this point in the game, you'd have to say he's a little bit more of a game-managing quarterback until he earns the right to be, more of a pass-heavy first-type guy and, maybe a high-ratio, high-rating quarterback passer in efficiency. But, that was his game in USC. At the same time, he hasn't quite displayed that, obviously, in the pros, and Kurt Warner was starting in front of him because of those things. With Wells, so again, we should expect him to be, this team could be, ended up being a little bit more of a run-first type team. And in this transition, it only helps that the Jets, in fact, remember they did cut Alan Faneca, their left guard, and the perennial Pro Bowl guard, even though he did have a bit of a down season last year. Well, he may have been released by the Jets, but at the same time, the Arizona Cardinals picked him up. And Faneca, this is a perfect fit for him as he lines, he gets back in touch with Russ Grimm, big-time offensive line guy, and they used to be together, and same with Wisenhunt. They were all together in Pittsburgh together, so there's a good familiarity there, and I expect Faneca to pick up walk right in, be the left guard, really help out Beanie Wells in the running game this upcoming season. As far as this year going along so far in OTAs, Hightower is actually still the top running back. I mean, he's taking first snaps. Don't read too much into that, though, because, Wisenhunt does tend to go with his veterans a little bit more when it comes to these things early on, but there's no mistake about it. The Beanie Wells is the man on this team. Hightower is very limited in what he can do for a team. I think he's a good little player to have on a team, and he can do a couple little nice things, but at the same time, this is Beanie Wells' show, and they're not going to be going very far if they're not letting him pound the rock. So look for Wells to have a really nice season this year. I would say, I do believe it's reasonable for him to go around 1,200 yards rushing this year and 10-plus touchdowns. He had 7 last year. I think double digits is very much in range with the upgrade of Faneca and the commitment to running. And plus, hey, this is his second season. He's felt his way through the league, and that was very clear again that he had by the end of the season. He was much more comfortable running the football, and that definitely showed and helped fantasy owners at the same time. So get Wells. I think I'd want to say he makes for a very good number 2 running back on your team this year. He may not be a number 1 guy that you want, but a really good number 2.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy